In Vectorworks Landmark or Architect, you can use the Property Line tool to interactively create property boundaries from survey information. The resulting shape will be a series of lines and arc segments that display the bearing and distance. The tool will also automatically create a curve data worksheet for any curves that are drawn in the property line. To create a property line, click on the Property Line tool from the Site Planning toolset. You will see a Preferences button in the toolbar. Here you can choose to display a simple dialog for the property line and choose to enter the angle in azimuth or bearing. The simple dialog will not allow curves and will not allow you to cycle through the segments. You will only be able to enter the bearing and distance. Once you have configured the preferences, click OK. Now click on the drawing area to set the start point of the first segment. You will see a red bullseye placed in that location to mark the starting point. The Define Property Line dialog will open. Here you can specify whether the current segment is a line or curve. If you are drawing a line segment, you can enter the bearing and distance information. You can enter either the azimuth or bearing information. If entering a bearing, you can use spaces, degrees, minutes, seconds, or decimal degrees to specify the data. Enter the distance of the line segment in the distance field and click Add to update the drawing. The bullseye will move to the end of the new segment. You can continue to enter new data and add segments around the property boundary. If you are drawing a curved segment, you can choose Curve from the dialog and specify the curve based on certain values. Start Tangent to Previous will force the back tangent of the curve to be collinear with the previous segment. If you want to enter the bearing of the back tangent, uncheck Start Tangent to Previous and enter the bearing or azimuth below. Now specify the radius of the curve. Next, you can choose to enter the arc distance, which will be the distance along the arc, the chord distance, which will be the length of the line that connects the endpoints of the curve, the tangent distance, which is the distance from the endpoint of the last segment to the intersection point of the curve, delta angle, which is the angle of the curve measured from the center of the arc, or chord bearing, which is the bearing of the arc. Forward tangent will only display the forward tangent value. The counterclockwise box will draw the curve counterclockwise instead of clockwise, which is the default. Click Add to draw the new curve segment. You can cycle through the segments that have already been drawn by clicking Previous or Next. If you change parameters on a selected segment, you will need to click Update in order for the changes to be saved to that segment. You can also remove the selected segment from the drawing. Automatically Create Closing Segment will draw the closing segment between the last point and the first. Click OK to draw the property line. If this was the first time the tool was used in this drawing, the Object Properties dialog will appear. Accept the defaults and click OK. These settings can be changed later in the Object Info palette. You can also create a property line by converting a polyline or polygon into a property line. To do this, select the polyline or polygon in your document and choose the Create Objects from Shapes command. Then choose Property Line and click OK. You can then adjust the settings for the object through the Object Info palette. In the Object Info palette, you can choose the text style for the labels that can be displayed. You can enter a name and number for the property line. The area and perimeter fields will show you the value for the selected property line. You can choose to display the name, number, or area on the drawing by checking the appropriate box. You can also specify the units for the area in the drop-down below. The decimals field allows you to specify the precision for the labels that are drawn. Text rotation will rotate the name, number, or area text to the degree that you specify. Fill behind text will add a solid fill color behind the text so that it is easily readable. The Annotate Segments option will draw the labels on each segment of the property line. You can choose what information is displayed here by picking the annotation style and angle format. You can also choose to show the property line as a texture bed on the site and choose what class the texture bed gets the attributes from. If you need to adjust the segments of the property line, you can quickly edit it by using the Reshape tool, or you can click on the Edit with Dialog button in the Object Info palette. This will allow you to update the segments with new values. With these methods, you can easily create and edit an accurate property line in Vectorworks.